Amy, hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Good to see you.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you for giving me your time to talk to me. Now,
Yeah.
before we start with the interview, are
hmm
you aware that you are about to approach and pass 3 million views on YouTube? Did you know that?
No. No, that's wild. I I'm resisting all urges now to go into my analytics and see where
It's
those views
true.
are coming from.
It's
I
true.
try not to get too into the numbers too much, but it's quite addictive. But that's yeah,
It's wild, isn't it? But,
yeah,
that's 3 million people. Not people. 3 million times people have pressed play on YouTube videos because of your
yeah.
free content. So, on behalf of all of us Handpan players, you are an inspiration and you have helped so many people. So all of
Mm,
that free content, we really do appreciate what you're doing. It
Thank
is
you.
very, very kind of you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. It's a pleasure and a joy, and it's what gives me purpose in my day. Um,
Well,
yeah, I love
let's
it.
talk about that. What does drive you for your free education that you give us, or what's behind all that?
I just think it's uh, I think everybody deserves free education. I just think it's a wonderful magical thing to be able to be in a position that I can offer. Um, and I think because I can, I should. I mean, when I was growing up, I was quite. I didn't have the monetary means nor the like accessibility of teachers, music teachers, like specialist music teachers when I was a kid, and I was also too shy, even as I was older, to reach out to people to teach me when I got to the point where I could. And
Yeah,
so for people like me, like I would just go to YouTube to find my education. And I feel like I'm kind of paying back what I've been taking from the internet all these years. And when I first got my handpan, there was no one teaching yet. And like if I had
true.
have had teachers online back then when I was 18 when I got my first handpan, like Lord knows where I'd be now, you know? So it's just it's a cool feeling to be in a position where I'm able to give back when I've been using that resource in different ways so much. Um, yeah,
Now, I know that you have a strong musical background. Your parents took you to a lot of festivals when you were a little girl, and you were a percussion. You were playing bongos and tablas, and probably in all sorts of djembes and things like that around campfires.
hmm
I'm interested in how your musical background shaped how you teach. Was it just did you pick up anything from those days, or were you inspired by other musical teachers that you might have had a bit later on?
yeah. I think a bit of both. I think definitely the way that I learned was very free in the beginning. Like I just turned up to jam sessions around campfires and or sat and just listened as my parents were at band practice or whatever. And it was I didn't have this is how you do this and this is how you do this. It was just
Yeah,
free play, that playfulness. I feel the importance of that. So I think that's definitely influenced the way I teach. But the people that taught me the most were there were two women, Emma Middleton and Lisa Oliver. They're amazing. They were taiko. Oh, they are taiko drummers. Taiko is
yeah.
big Japanese style drums. And my first kind of real dive into an instrument and getting actual real training and real teaching was from them. And they taught me how to play and they taught me how to teach all in a very short space of time so that I could teach alongside them. And they
Wow.
taught me basically everything that I know about workshop facilitation and um, yeah, just how to guide a room of people, how to read energies, how to what Emma was really bubbly and Lisa was really like good at getting the nitty gritty done. So I had those two influences.
Yeah.
Um, so they're my primary inspiration. I think they were great.
Well, we've got a
Yeah,
lot to thank them for then, haven't we? Us
yeah.
handpan players for sure. You have grown up with being interested in folk music, right? Is that right? Was your
Mhm.
mum and dad into folk music at these festivals? Is that what you were sort of grew up playing and listening
Yeah,
to?
yeah. They were in a folky band, folk rock type band, and so those were the kinds of festivals that we were at. That's just what I was surrounded by. Just that was naturally what I was, yeah, hearing and influenced by. Yeah.
Now my background is electronic music and DJing and all that
Mm,
sort of stuff, and I'm dipping my toe into the wellness space. Let's call it that. Because I don't know, I'm giving italics because I don't know anything about it that much, and I'm still finding my way about
mhm.
what spirituality is, what
Mhm.
folk music actually is, and the reason why I bring that up is you also do quite a lot of mantra style vocals
Mm.
and mantra style singing. So
Mhm.
are mantras or current modern mantras a part of folk music, and is that why you use them in your music?
Um. No. Well, not as far as I'm aware. Maybe. I mean, there is a lot of like in folk, it's a lot of storytelling. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of like really long verses and it's all just different all the way through. But you might have a repeat rather than a chorus, you might have a repeating phrase at the end of phrases that everybody can kind of join in with and repeat with.
Inside, I know that I'm welcomed here with a cardinal calling, but this land is not my own. I give my thanks to the cardinal calling for sharing this space so kind, and I ask for forgiveness from the cardinal calling for acting with ignorance blind.
I think I definitely have influence from my dad's style of folk because he listens to a lot of rock, a lot of grunge, and so he's kind of combined these elements, and his choruses are all very sing alongy. And I watched the way that he conducts a crowd and the way that he gets people
Okay.
invested in and included in the music. He does a lot of call and response and singing along, and
Yeah.
that's just what I do. But
Absolutely.
I
We're
do
going to
it.
talk about that later. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think much of the influence is quite specifically from him, and he also, yeah, he was in the folk band and doing all this party stuff, but also his other kind of side is he's really into Zen Buddhism, and in the house did listen to a lot of um,
Right.
not necessarily like mantras, but sometimes, but a lot of like kind of nice, chill ambient music. And he would have books like Thich Nhat Hanh books with lots of mantras in. So I was surrounded by that as well. So I think those two things are what have combined to lead me to want to do that really. And I call them modern mantras because I'm not really sure what else to call it because they're not mantras, they're not like religious texts,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
are,
Of course.
yeah, I am, they are like little odes to the planet and like this kind of thing. I am
Yeah.
trying to access something spiritual in it, I guess. Um,
So
but I
you're
haven't
cross
quite
you
figured
you're
out.
crossing over, aren't you? You're kind of crossing over the sort of folk
Yeah,
and yeah, that's interesting. I didn't
yeah.
realize it was like your unique sort of thing. So yeah, long may it continue. And so you
Thank
you
you.
you obviously we are all influenced by what we do and where we go and the people we meet and you're you're meeting a lot of people, particularly this year. I think
Yeah,
you've got more air miles than most people. I think in the
yeah.
handpan world, haven't you?
I have a
You've done a
lot.
lot of traveling. Can you just list off the countries that you've visited this year, Amy, before we
Oh
carry
man.
on?
I
It's not a
think
quiz, by the way. I'm not going to judge you on
I
it.
might miss places out. I think I started. I think my first. I think I went to Italy this year. That might have been last year. I think I went this year. Um, and then Rosie and I went together to Australia and New Zealand and the US.
Yeah.
I've been, and then we were in Europe. I went to Germany a few times. This is so crazy to say out loud. This is ridiculous. Um, Netherlands, Belgium, back to the US. I think that covers it. I've,
Yeah.
I've been back and forth to some places.
You have.
Um,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's been a very bonkers year.
Well, let's go back to Australia, New Zealand tour where you
Okay.
recorded that. Was it always the intention of recording Australis, or did you just decide to put that together based on the music you've done there?
Yeah, I think we kind of had the inception of the idea. We're like, wouldn't it be cool if, And
Okay.
then we got to a couple weeks in, and we were like, oh, we were going to do that thing where we recorded everything. Shall we actually do that? Um, and we weren't sure if we were going to get enough good stuff to put together in an album, but it was just nice anyway to capture all of these moments. And we spent a lot of time when we first arrived in Australia because we don't actually we live in different cities, so we don't actually get a lot of time to just play together and compose,
Yeah.
believe it or not. And so we actually just spent a lot of that time just kind of getting together and working on music and coming up with new stuff. So we recorded
Nice.
some of that as well. um, and then along the way we started jamming with friends, and something really nice would happen, and we'd be like, oh, can we go into a room and do this, and can we put it on our album? And
Oh, cool.
so we definitely had that in mind, but we didn't have a specific image of what we wanted it to look like. So it was nice to be able to collaborate and capture live performances as well.
Tell me about that community over there, the Australia, New Zealand handpan community. What are they like?
Oh, they're lovely. Because it's quite rare over there for people to be able to play together. There's only one, maybe two builders in all of Australia, and Australia's
Massive.
massive.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew it was big, but I didn't realize it was that big.
yeah,
So Tim Tom of Celestial Sound, he's kind of like spearheading a lot of the action over there.
yeah.
And so when you turn up to the Panos, the Handpan Festival, you just see Celestial Sound handpans just everywhere. And I'm like, God, this
Nice.
must be a really cool feeling to see your instrument, pioneering the community here. So there's still very much that like really fresh, new, excited energy,
Right.
which I loved. And New Zealand as well. It was only the second time that festival had run. Kiwi Pan, it's called. And yeah, everyone's just super chill, super cool. We had a wonderful time, made lots of great friends. We're really well looked after.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was awesome. They're great.
What was your, if you could pick a one place that you went that you loved, you thought for a moment, yeah, a little snapshot in your mind, where was it? Where was that moment? I know it's
Uh,
hard.
it is hard. Well, you know what? The location for Kiwi
Yeah.
Pan was incredible. It was on a horse sanctuary. And so were these like tamed-ish wild horses just hanging out. Just like I opened the curtains to our little kind of like bedroomy thing, and there was just a horse just there. They're just hanging out with the handpans, and it
Yeah.
was magical place. All the mountains and yeah, that was stunning.
That sounds nice. I think you did some Instagram clips of that actually about
I
playing to the
did.
horse. Was that the right? Is that then? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'll
learned
put the.
the I can't remember her name, but the woman there taught us how to communicate with the horse and get it to like go where we want it to go, and in this like mutually, it was amazing. So I communicated with the horse. I was like, come on, hang out over here while I play some handpan. It was purely for content.
Oh,
I feel a bit
oh,
bad, but
you're the content queen. You're allowed to. You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that.
but it was a
So,
magical moment. It really was.
I bet. I bet. I remember it actually now thinking about it. Yeah, it was really lovely.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of lack of makers over there. Is that why you were locked into the studio of Celestial Sounds Workshop and not allowed out because you were being
Yeah.
hired to help out with the lack of
Definitely.
makers? I'm only joking, of course. So you and Rosie went to his workshop to build your own handpans.
Yeah. Oh,
Tell me about that. What was that
what a dream.
experience like?
Tim is just such a generous man, really sweet guy. He let us in on a lot of secrets that I won't
Mm,
share because it's his craft. But
yeah.
I feel really lucky to have been part of that. It's the relationship that Rosie and Tim have formed. She has a few of his instruments, and I was just kind of tagging along for that whole trip, really. But yeah,
Yeah.
he let us into his workshop. He helped us. We designed each of our own scale layouts. We were both really optimistic with what we could fit on. And he just went
Okay.
with it. He was like, all right, we're going to make, so I made an A2 Dorian, which is a nice
Ooh.
big A ding in the middle, and then quite big notes around the outside as well. So it wasn't an easy build. Obviously, I didn't make it.
Yeah, you
Basically,
did.
what
Yeah, you did.
he, oh, yeah, it was me. I totally made it. But he let us do a bit of every part of the process so that we got a
Yeah.
feel for it. And then he, obviously continued. But we did the layout and the drawing of the notes and the initial stamping of the notes and stuff. So that was really fun activity. I would probably am not interested in building pans. It's it's hard work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Um,
So he didn't
but
kick back too much about the note placement. He wasn't, because I get this impression, I don't know where I get it from, that handpan makers were like, oh no, you don't want to do that. Oh no, you can't do that. So are they a little bit more flexible than I think? Is that
I
right?
think, yeah, I think everybody's different. I think it depends on what the maker's priorities are. There are some
Right.
builders who really want to, yeah, experiment and explore and see what they can fit on, and or make instruments that are great for playing certain compositions. Like Mumi, for instance, is a player turned builder, and she plays these beautiful classical almost pieces and
Yeah.
builds specifically for that. So she's really interested in the notes and getting those extensions, as well as a lot of other builders like Tim as well. But then there are others who really are more interested in the art of getting the most pure, pristine, like wonderful sound, and so will refuse to put anything on there that's going to limit or alter that sound. So, like Spirit Pan, for instance, a Meridian as well. But Spirit, I've got a Spirit here that is just a 9 note, and it's because she doesn't want to clutter it. She refuses to do mutants at the moment, and in doing so is just making the purest, most
Yeah.
beautiful instruments. So I think there's a balance there between
Yeah.
cramming on a bunch of notes and going for the tone, if you like, the texture, the timbre.
So we talked about Australia
Mm-hmm.
and New Zealand. Let's not forget the Kiwis, because they'll get very upset if we do that. So tell me about Wild Naya, which you also went to. What country is that? What that's in? And
That
tell
was
me a bit more about the Wild Naya Handpan Academy.
yeah, that was in Germany this year. Previous years it's been in Austria. That's
Right.
such a magical event. Bernadette, who organises that, sadly it was the last year, but there will be similar things in, I'm sure.
Right.
Not saying anything, but I'm sure. Um, um, but it was Wild Night. It's such a crazy, ridiculous vision, and yet it works. It was like 12 to 15 teachers for 7
Yeah.
days with around 100 students ish, just really going deep into playing handpan and study and learning. And us as teachers, it, like from my point of view at least, it's such a magical event because we would teach one of the sessions in the day, either the
Yeah.
morning or the afternoon, and then and we might do a performance, but then we're free to go to other teachers' classes or collaborate with another teacher. And there was a real encouragement for us in our performances to collaborate with each other. So everyone's like learning each other's songs and getting on upstage, so you'll
Yeah.
see people like Nadia Shana and Alexander Laura like jam together, which you never get that opportunity. So it was great for the students to be able to soak up all this knowledge from all these teachers, but great for us as well, because we don't get opportunity really to learn
No.
from each other. So yeah, I've been twice. I went to 2 years, and it's one of the most, such a wonderful resource for me. I learned so much. It's just it's just nice spending a whole week with your friends.
I bet.
Um,
So the
yeah.
spirit of Wild Naya will continue in some form in the
In
future.
some form, yeah. Bernadette has announced a women's gathering already, which I will be at in
Okay.
November of 2025. And there are other events that I don't know. I don't. But
You don't
there are
know about.
always lots of wonderful events in
Of
Europe. So
course.
just keep an eye out for wonderful events in Europe.
And speaking of women's gatherings, let's talk
Mm.
about Super Bloom,
Ah,
right? Now,
yeah.
I don't know you that well, Amy, and you don't post that much personal stuff, but you did post about how it made you feel. You did post that it made you cry about what you created with your with what happened. Tell me about that experience. What happened at Super Bloom, and what came out of it?
Super Blue. There's something. I don't know how they've done it, but there's some wonderful container there that just allows something magical to happen. Super Bloom is a women's handpan gathering run by Sarah, Marina, and Holly, and inspired by, there was a women's gathering that was run by Sam Archer and a small team here in the UK about 6 years ago, I think. And it's in this wonderful location, upstate New York, called Peace Temple. So you can already imagine how stunning it is and the energy there. And it's quite a small, I think it was maybe 35 to 40 people. And yeah, yes, we played handpan together, we studied together, I taught a few workshops, we all ate every meal together. We just spent the whole 4 days just really in each other's company and really going deep and learning about each other. And there were other workshops that weren't just handpan. It was, we talked and we shared our emotions and we talked about fears and what comes up when you play and all of that kind of stuff. So it was really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the last day, for my last workshop, I was like, okay, well, let's write a song. Let's do it. And I was inspired, actually. I taught a workshop together with Rosie at Pangonia, another German festival.
Yeah.
And Rosie basically led that whole thing, and she led teaching a song. So I got to watch and learn from her. And so I took what I'd learned from that and also just allowed more space to really just let the women just come through. And we explored everything that had come up over the weekend. We spent a good hour just going through our feelings and what we learned and writing loads of stuff down. And then it just kind of naturally just progressed into this song. And when you're in a yurt in this enclosed space and 35, 40 people just suddenly sing a line together for the first time, and you're the one holding that space. I mean, it's beautiful for everybody, but this feeling of, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever felt like I helped make this happen. This is a lot to hold and quite intense and also beautiful. And I just tears. It was an amazing moment. The whole weekend and the year before that I went as well. It's just life-changing. Really beautiful.
Yeah. And you released it as a song quite recently.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No.
I thought you had released that as a song recently.
I did. I released a song. That was my song that I'd written weeks before, and then performed, and everybody just sang it, and that was also another wonderful magical moment.
It sounds incredible. It sounds incredible. And fair play for you to put that together. The word facilitator doesn't do it justice, does it? But that's what you kind of were, in a very office geeky sort of way. But you were much more than that, and I can't even imagine how that would have felt after 4 days of sharing all those experiences and feelings together. And then I'm sure some of the other women that were there also were quite emotional and took quite a lot from it. I'm sure lots of hugs were shared, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about women's gatherings. It's just we're just all hugging and crying. It's just that's just what you do.
That's fine. We're just jealous, us men. We're just jealous. That's all.
We need more men's spaces as well. These affinity spaces are so necessary, so needed, and so are co-ed spaces as well. But having these spaces where we can just truly share that experience that we all know and understand, and not be afraid to be in that, it's amazing.
Let's do it, Amy. Let's put something together in the UK. Let's do it. Me and you. We'll do it.
All right.
And stepping away from Handpan, we went to another festival called the Medicine Festival. was Chantra Seba there? Was that?
Yes.
Was she?
Yes, they were. Yeah.
She's my new favourite. My new favourite listen to at the moment on Spotify, Chantra Seba.
Yeah, she's really great. Yeah, I think I might have missed her concert.
Okay.
But I was working Medicine Festival. It was a whole different vibe. We had a Meridian Handpan's tent there, and so I was teaching workshops, like little quick half-hour workshops, and selling pans. So it was a very different feeling. It was hats off to shop vendors. That is hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work. Yeah.
Whereabouts was that? Where was that?
The place is called it's the Wasing Estate. I think it's not too far from Reading, in the south of England.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite a big festival. There's a few thousand people. Lots of kind of yeah, healy. I don't know. I don't know what the genre is.
Yeah, you're
Musical.
new to it as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know a few people that went there that are witches.
yeah,
I've befriended a few witches locally, and even the
yeah.
whole world of
Everybody.
witches is a real thing. And white witches and the whole thing. That's all. Yeah. So
Yeah,
exactly,
totally.
it's that's what I'm said right at the beginning. I'm dipping my toe into this whole world that I never knew existed. So why did it stand out for you this moment? Because I asked you to pick out a few things that did stand out. Why was it
It,
important to you?
there was. I don't know about important. Well, maybe. It was just a funny and quite like this feels quite good moment
Yeah,
where I was working at this festival and it you know I've been predominantly in the last few years just going to Handpan events where you turn up and suddenly I become Amy Naylor. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because people have watched my videos and they know who I am, or I just performed. Um, and so yeah, so when I'm at those events, it's a different experience now for me than it used to be when I would just turn up as a punter to festivals. So I
yeah.
was really excited for medicine because I've been wanting to go for a while. And it's nice to just be able to just completely be off work, you know. Um, but there was this one moment where I was dancing to this incredible Welsh artist whose name I've forgotten, and I was with a friend of mine who's also leads a choir that I'm in,
Yeah.
and I was dancing with this guy, and then he was like, he came back afterwards, and he was like giving me a big high five, and he said, "I thought we knew each other. I thought we were friends, but I've just realized you're my handpan teacher." And I was like, "Oh."
Oh, yeah.
And so my friend was like, "Oh my god, you're famous," and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm famous." I mean, I'm not at all in this, very specific niche, but being outside of that was and being recognized was the first moment that it was a strange feeling, but quite fun. It was fun.
Oh, 3 million views, Amy. Not many people with 3 million views. I think I could say you're pretty famous for sure.
Well,
Well, we've talked
but
about.
keeping feet on the ground.
I know. So you've played in a lot of places. You visited a lot of places, but have you played in an unusual location, or for an audience that gave you a unique experience that we haven't touched on yet? Is there a
Mm,
place that you can think of?
I hadn't actually thought about that. I think the moment that we just talked about, that I released the song from, was that was just a really beautiful concert, and that was the first song that I played in that concert. And it was the first time that I'd, like you, dipping into this more kind of medicine music
Yeah,
area. It was the first time that I'd really just allowed myself to take the time to allow that a bit more,
yeah,
in a way that wasn't, I know that these people like mantras, so I'm going to play it up. And it wasn't like that. It was real. And I, before the concert, I had a terrible headache. I was feeling kind of nauseous. I wasn't doing so well. And so to start off, I just did some breathing exercises for me more than anything,
yeah,
um, and then did some kind of like sound like humming stuff, some voice work just to get me in the zone. And everybody was just doing it, and so then this set up this space. So then when I did start singing songs, everybody was so in it straight away and really singing with me and harmonizing and in this wonderful small enclosed space. And suddenly there was this like light bulb moment where I was like, oh, this is what medicine music is. This is, I'm doing it. This is what it is. And it was medicine for me. It was really beautiful. And then during that tour, I did a few more concerts like that. I did a really cool one, with a woman called Jenny, who was an acupuncturist. And so we we led some like sound healing type stuff, but singing voice work
yeah.
as well while people were receiving acupuncture, and that was really powerful, really magical. Um, so it's a wonderful world, this medicine music stuff, and I
Yeah.
want more because
I think you
it's
will be getting. I think you will be invited to more things along these lines because, like you said, your childhood influences from your father doing that.
mm,
The having the audience singing back and the and that just ties into
yeah,
group singing and co-creation, and you can definitely take it to wherever you want it to go, Amy, for sure.
Mm. Thank you,
So,
Phil.
speaking of that, is there a moment you could also think? This is another hard one to think about. Is there a moment that you think that you've had somebody has said to you, "That's affected me. Your playing has deeply affected me in some shape or
Mm.
form." Can you remember a moment that happened or was told to you?
Yeah, I don't remember a specific moment, but from that little pocket of tour, especially when I was in the States, Super Bloom and the acupuncture gig and doing all those kinds of events, it was the first time I really felt like there would be. I started leading some like singing circles rather than
Yeah.
doing gigs. You know what I mean? So people were really involved, um, and it wasn't people didn't necessarily have to tell me that they were being touched by it. I could just see when tears would just start, they're singing with me and they're crying, and suddenly I'm not just a performer anymore. I'm holding space for people to cry and feel their feelings, and it suddenly felt like almost more responsibility. Like it becomes a very
Wow.
different thing being a performer on stage to recognizing that people are genuinely affected by what you're helping to channel and to create. I mean, it's not all
Yeah.
just me, we're all doing it collectively. That was really felt like a turning point to like, okay, yes, I want more of this medicine music stuff, but also I should take it seriously because it's real, and people are having emotions and reactions, and then they want to share that with you
Hmm.
afterwards,
Right.
and I've just opened myself up to it as well. So yeah, I feel like I'm really starting to receive that a lot more this year, and it's incredible. It's a lot, but it's incredible. um yeah, yeah, magic.
It is magic. It's in more than one sense of the word, right? There's definitely
Yeah.
something about energy and spirituality and certainly what you're bringing to the table. You're doing a lot of things. You're involved in lots of new areas. But if resources in your time was no issue, what sort of handpan related project would you really love to work on? Like, here you go, Amy. Here's a year
Okay.
or
Yeah,
6 months. What do you want to do?
we've talked about all this like healing medicine stuff, but I also just really want to do like dance pop.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to like, if I could just for one night fill a stadium and
Ooh,
just like
yeah,
dance. That maybe I should just go to a dance pop gig. Maybe that would fulfill that fantasy. But
yeah.
yeah, just the idea of fitting Handpan, and I've actually have been. I've got some projects uh, underway with some collaborators, try exploring that idea a little bit. But yeah, this idea of bringing Handpan into electronics and into pop music as well. I feel like that's the best avenue to get Handpan more into the mainstream, to bring the
Yeah,
healing, because Handpan is just so it does something, and to bring that to the masses, if you like. And it's starting to happen. Multi Martin is huge now. He's reaching huge
yeah,
audiences outside of the niche, which is
right.
amazing. There was a number one pop song last year that had a Handpan sample in it. Like, it's happening. Um, and so if like fame and resources were no issue, I'd just be like, "Hello, radio. Here is Handpan. you know, have it.
Yeah,
Everybody
absolutely.
needs it." Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's been lovely to talk to you about all these things. You've mentioned a few little projects there, but what can you tell me? Actual things, the real things that might be happening in the next 12 months. Not that I'm saying the pop thing won't happen, I must add, but I've taken all
Yeah.
your unlimited resources away now. What are your next projects or performances that you can tell me about? What can you let me know that nobody else knows yet?
I am working on some more modest pop. There's a song of mine. Yeah, I can talk about it. There's a song of mine called "Everyone Can See Us." I always forget the title because the working
Yeah,
title is the gay song, and that's what I
yeah.
always call it.
I've heard
It's not
that.
called.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Heard you play that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I'm really proud of it, and I think it's a pop song, and
yeah.
and so I'm yeah, working towards
Wow.
I'm doing it. I'm experimenting with other songs first because I feel like this particular song I have to do it right.
Yeah.
But I want to release a small project, an EP, and I want to work on it more next year, of pop music. But not necessarily stadium dance pop. um, but yeah. And what else? I honestly, my biggest project next year actually is rest. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
just need to do a bit less. I think I need to go easy. But I'm still going to some events, and I've got a really exciting thing happening in January that I can't speak about yet.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, you have been really busy this year, Amy. I'm sure after a few months of downtime, letting winter do its thing, allowing you to sort of hide up for a few months,
That's it.
you'll be energized once again,
Yeah.
and we can have lots of pieces of Amy Naylor again in the world, which everybody loves. So once again, thank you so much for speaking with me, and thank you for all the work and the resources that you give us handpan players. We really appreciate you. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. It's such a pleasure. I love chatting with you. So yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's been lovely.
Hold my hand and kiss me where everyone can see us. Take my hand and I'll be ready to defend us. Should any man tell me we're anything but joyous, they don't know love when they see it. They won't stop us from being proud. I've never shouted loud. It's easy to stay under the radar, but I see now that we don't have to step out too far to be found by some creep who's only here to cause harm. They don't know love when they see it. They won't stop us from being it. No one can tell me what to smile about.